You are alive. That's what it
Woo!
says.
Well,
Hi,
it's Sunday
everyone.
morning here, everybody. Good morning. We're peeling ourselves off the carpet.
Yeah, we started doing our recordings just as life is happening a little bit really early in the morning, which is
Mm,
actually great because it makes it such a priority, but it's also an adjustment.
yeah.
So today's topic is who am I now? Life, loss, and rebuilding after divorce. The big D, and I don't mean Dallas. I
Yeah.
love that song. I love
I,
that song.
I
Have you heard
don't
it?
I don't even know what song you're talking about.
He's like, I'm going through the big D and I don't mean Dallas. I'll find it and I'll play you a couple. I think I can play like one or two
Oh my God.
passages. But anyway, so yes, divorce, divorce, divorce. You know, we really have not gone into this arena, even though it's relevant for both of us in different ways. But I'm really glad that we are because it's something that I feel like there's a really, really popular and I assume really good divorce attorney who's like making his way through um, the internet. So, like, he's on Facebook and Instagram and X, and he's really talking a lot right now. Sexton is his last name. I think it's Sexton or Saxton. But anyway, I really like the way he talks about divorce because being a divorce attorney, you would think he would be either neutral or quiet about it, but he's bold face, like he sees the end of it and the fights and the money and
All the hurt.
so he's really just honest about like let each other just be humans and let each other just live your life and find someone that you can just kind of have fun with and I feel like sometimes that's how I am in couples therapy, where I'm like, you guys just need to go get an ice cream cone. Like, put this stuff aside. It feels like people take on these huge childhood traumas with each other in marriage. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're not going to get through all of it. So, I have not been divorced. My parents were divorced, so I have that experience. And then I work with a lot of couples. But Lisa, would you like to speak on any of this?
Well, I mean, I have been divorced, which is still like a weird thing to even say out loud, but and I came from, long history of families staying married. So it was a big thing, me getting a divorce, and it changes you, I mean, I think the whole process of marriage changes you too. Um, so it's an additional change, but I think, everybody's experience is very different, but I came from a place of that wasn't an option to divorce. So I think, um, the impact of it, it's not just like a personal impact, but it's a societal impact. And then coming from a place of faith and being part of like faith family, um, everybody has opinions and judgments about it. So it's another layer. There's all these layers of what makes divorce hard, and different layers affect people in their own unique ways, right? Like maybe they have support from their family system that divorce isn't, it's more common. But like if they're part of a certain friend group or part of a certain faith community, it's like not allowed or not okay.
Yeah, and I think one thing is to divide up your stuff because everyone fights about the stuff, but not everyone fights about the stuff. A lot of people fight about the stuff, but the other part is like dividing up your friends because it is awkward, especially when
Hmm.
you you are it's really funny, like the friends you had that you each individually had as friends before you got married, and then the friends that you make together, and then the friends that lean towards either one of you, the friends that don't say anything, the friends that say stuff, the
Hmm.
friends that side with one or the other, and then
Oh,
the friends you
yeah.
end up having left. It's like friends alone is such a big topic because
Mhm. because you lose the whole couple. That's what's hard, is it's like you can lose access to the whole couple, and that kind of sucks, you know. But yeah, I mean, I definitely experienced that where people just made decisions and never talked to me again. And it was like, wow, like we've been friends for 20 years and you're just going to walk away. And I'm trying to have a conversation. You're saying, you know, I'm just going to wish you the best. It's like, what on earth? But
You know,
there's strong feelings about that, you know. And I don't want to suggest, like, it's hard because I know where we're kind of, I want us to also talk about like you in the divorce and as you move through it, right? Like, I want to talk, I mean, I guess we're talking about how it changes you. So this is part of it. Your
yeah,
social
I
group.
think, I mean, 5 minutes, and we usually do a half hour, so we have time. But um, I think, I think I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to interrupt about change. Um, do you
Yeah.
think that it changes you more? So I'm just going to ask more during and after the divorce, or did you change before to even face having a divorce? Because I think that people change in life in general.
Yeah.
And I think part of what happens is someone changes and maybe the other one doesn't, or both of you are changing. And do you still want to be with who you are based on that change? Because I mean, I think for you, you were going through a big change before, but then do we like not change? I I could say this. I had been looking at graduate programs and I was looking at Harvard because I had always been obsessed with going to Harvard. And so I was like looking at the programs they had available. And like my mother-in-law says to my husband, and she probably won't listen to this podcast, but if she does, she knows I love her. She knows I love her. But she said, you know, if Angie goes to Harvard, you guys are getting a divorce. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So you see it a lot with celebrities. Like if they're together when they don't have fame, and then they get, you know, 3 or 4 movies, and then it's like, oh, they're going through a divorce, or success happens, up, they're going through a divorce. And you wonder, like, did you change before the divorce, or, and that's what it's about, or did you change after? I don't know.
Like you're asking, is the divorce the result of you
The
growing and
change.
changing as a person, or is it about the dysfunction in the marriage? Because I think that they're both true.
Well,
Like,
I
I think the
think
dysfunction in the marriage also changes you. And so
that's a really good point.
maybe out of that dysfunction, for myself, I will say, out of the lack of having what I needed, I moved towards um, creating a life for myself because I wasn't having sustaining emotional need being met in the marriage. And
So
so it's
let's
like, you know,
so
yeah, I was going for higher education. I was like, you know,
But let's talk
mentoring
about
girls.
that. So are we not allowed to change in relationship? Like, are we not allowed to like make a big change that, because then I feel like we're in these coupleships, and I think that that's something that I see over and over again,
Mhm.
is that someone just decided they wanted to like go to graduate school, or they wanted to switch careers, or they wanted to like make their physical health a priority, and then that's not okay in the system, because if you change, then you're not who I wanted, or you're not allowed to change. And so then that can even cause divorce, because you're like, you're not letting me grow.
Mhm. It's
Everybody's
like
going to grow.
rigidness. Yeah.
You know, it's the
Mhm.
same thing that happens with teenagers. I feel like, you know, it's scary, but they grow, and we have to let them go. We have to let them make decisions and do things that are a little more independent.
And
If we
stay
don't,
curious. Just like our kids, we have to stay curious with them changing. You have to stay curious with your partner of what's going on in them, giving them space and room to change, but also be curious to be in their life. It causes that person to have to also move too. But I think there is a rigidness, not it's not laziness, I don't know what the word is, but a comfortability of how things are, and we don't want to change that. But that's
homeostasis.
foolishness because we're constantly changing. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched my ex-partner change repeatedly with big life things, and I had to adjust to that and adapt to that. Um, but I didn't see that happen for me, and I so
No, it
it's
wasn't reciprocated.
yeah.
But so question, are women allowed to change?
Well, they are. I think we're done asking for permission to change. I think, if, you know, we're going to talk about another podcast, a statistic that I was shocking to me, but we are constant get having children changes us, like pushing through our careers in fields where we've been told no before, like, you know, having somebody live in your house with you, like marriage changes you. We're
Yeah.
constantly changing. It's a good question because
You know what's
there's
interesting too?
resistance.
You know what's interesting too is because I do deal with a lot of like conflict in relationships in my work, and I noticed that a pattern of where um no one really thinks about the lifespan in marriage, and what normally would happen. So I have couples that have been together, let's say 10, 15 years, and they're
Mhm.
35, you know? And so it's like, well, he did this and he did that. And I will say, well, when was that? Oh, it was a while ago. When was it? Oh, like 10 years ago. Okay. So he was 22. Yeah. You do that when you're 22.
Right.
You do that. You do that when you're 28. You go out and you like drink too much at a bar or go to a wedding and do something dumb. You're going to make mistakes, but and people will say that's what he said or that's what she said. That's what he did. But I'm like, I'm sure he did 1,000 things
Mhm.
that, and
Mhm.
I don't even know if he did them because he was in relationship with you or if he would have done them anyway. Developmentally, you're going to do
Right.
certain things.
Good
For
point.
me in our relationship, it's been like, well, you switched careers or you did that and now you're doing this. And I'm constantly having to go back to like, my career had to change. I couldn't be doing what I was doing and still be there for my kids with what happened with my kids. I
Do you
had to
think do
switch.
you think, like, so with this concept, the developmental, like, where you are developmentally when these changes are happening. So in midlife, right? Because we see people, their kids, last one goes to high is graduates from high school, and then the divorce happens. So
Yep.
is it part of that, like, that's a midlife there's a midlife change that happens, and how do we adjust to that, because we
Well,
see it.
that is something that I talk to people a lot about is your person is your partner your person? And if you think they are your person, then you need to find a way to date your partner before the kids leave and to court each other before the kids leave because that person is still your person. Like we went to
Mhm.
a thing yesterday, just me and my husband, and it was kind of cool because it was like 21 and over, so the kids could not come. And it was fun and
Mm,
easy. And I was like, "Oh, I do like you. We do
yeah,
have fun. You are funny. I am funny. We do get along well."
yeah,
But in our life, in our home, we've got a lot of variables and it's not always fun and it's hard, you know? And so I think it reminds you when you stay connected with your partner and you don't let these resentments happen, build up that, oh, yeah, when they're gone, we're going to have fun together. Like, you know,
mhm,
because it is a tragedy to me that a lot of couples go through the hard stuff together, the hard years, the kid years, the teenage years. And then when the kids, because so much resentment's built up and because so many things are
mhm.
too many things were said or so many things were unsaid, then the kids are gone. And you align the freedom of the kids being gone with like getting rid of your partner and moving on when maybe it was going to get good. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know. I'm not trying to make people feel regret having divorces. I'm just trying to say, like,
yeah, I mean, things that you think about. I think when, we talk about divorce, and, I think you really learn a lot about yourself when you go through that process, and then you've gotta rebuild your life after that, and you're asking a lot of questions about yourself because you're kind of like, you know, you could get put through the ringer going through a divorce. It is not a simple thing. It's not a short thing. It's years. And
It's years.
you
That's what people
see
don't
a
realize.
person that you've been with for decades behave in ways that you think, who are you? Like, I don't even recognize you anymore. Um, and having to navigate and shift and separate things and find your way, and it is a whole, like, it's such a life change. I mean, I went from being married, uh being in my parents' house, to getting married. I got married young, 22. I had never lived on my own, and so to go through the separation, the divorce, I was living on my own for the first time in my life,
Hmm.
early 40s. And that was like, this is crazy. Like, I felt so naive. I felt like, oh my God, like, how to do this, so there is such a rebuilding that has to happen through that. And I think it forces you to look at yourself in new ways and eventually process the relationship too. I think initially you're just trying to get through it, and it can be hard to really be processing in the moment the brokenness. Because women, as we know, when it comes to leaving relationships, we don't just leave. We're processing for a long time
Yeah.
before we leave. And then when we leave, that's it,
Yeah.
because we've already been doing all of that processing.
In our mind.
So
Yeah.
there's definitely time of being in the relationship and trying and trying and trying and trying. And, there comes to a place that everybody has a limit of, you're never going to change. Like,
And
I
I
could turn
think
myself inside out.
I like to switch it and say, if that doesn't change in your partner, then what? Because I think people show you who they are. If that's who they are, is that okay? Because I think
Yeah.
a lot of the frustration is aligned with trying to get it to change or hoping that it changes.
Oh
And I
God.
feel like the shift of acceptance is a little, is to me, on certain things. Like, I mean, I don't want to give examples of my own life because then it just feels like it's about me. But I mean, there's a lot of things like I am not going to do every dish in the sink. I'm not going to do it. It's not a priority for me. And if I'm sitting with my son and I put a dish in the sink, I am not going to disconnect from him just so that that dish can go in the tray. I'm not going to do it. So is that a deal breaker? Like, and sometimes that is, because some people are like, everything has to be done, and they're uncomfortable and the anxiety is too high. That's a
Mhm.
silly example, but there are
Well,
things
it's
that
not if
people,
your partner is a person that, like, wants order and wants things a certain way and is more rigid, and you're not, then it's a constant rubbing, 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 rubbing. So something that seems really trivial is like, it's not just the dishes. Like, it's this and this and this and this and all these things and it's that anxiety that might be a deal breaker for somebody. It's beyond the dishes though, right?
yeah,
So
it's beyond
yeah,
the dishes, but I think it's more about a change in perspective because I think um if
yeah,
I'm just focusing on,
right.
like, because
Yeah.
it bothers me that it could bother me that my partner's rigid. It could bother me that my partner wants the dishes done. It could bother me
Mhm.
that I'm like, you know what? We don't have to do the dishes today. But then on a trip, you need that flexibility. You need someone that keeps you on the schedule and you need the person
Mhm.
that goes, it just didn't happen. It's okay. Let's move on. So I think it's how you
Yeah.
look at the differences too.
Yeah. I mean, at
I
some point, that's what we try to do as therapists, is help people. Okay, I understand. Take a step back. Look at it from a different angle. You know what I mean? Like,
Why do
this
we
is
get so stuck on the detail? Not the
like,
details, but why do we get in divorce, right? Why do we get so stuck in why is it so hard to pull back? Do you think it's trauma response? Do you think we're stuck in trauma? Do you think we're just stuck in old
well,
patterns?
I don't think we address things. I think we let things go, kind of. We let them go, but we don't let them go, right? Like, so they build. And then when we finally have the, like, we lose it the moment we lose it, and it's on, like, the one fork in the sink, which has nothing to do with, right, the situation. if we would have dealt with that. So I think we build resentments. And I also feel, and I will take this from my own experience, when you are bringing things up and they're not changing, they're just not changing. And you go from trying to manage and adapt to that and believing that this will change, like you said, the hope, to the point where you're like, I've asked you 500 times. Like,
So I started something new in my own personal life. I'll share this. So I started because I never did this before, but I started asking for credit now. Because I think I see a lot in couples that they try to change. They do.
mhm,
They make those extensions,
yeah,
but then the goalpost keeps getting moved. So now I stop everything and I go, "Hey, I just want credit, everyone. I didn't want to do the last dish, but I did it and it's done. So
uh-huh.
point for me today that I did something. I tried." You know what I mean? Like I think it has to get to the point where you can laugh at each other and go like, but verbalize it.
Yeah, like, so they don't miss it. They don't miss the
Because they
change.
will. I do believe that
Yeah.
we miss it. We miss the effort, you
Mhm.
know. Um if we don't point it out or if we don't stay aware, because then I'm thinking like we as humans we kind of just get a little greedy and we want more, we want
Mhm.
more.
So let's go into like the aftermath of divorce.
Hmm.
Again, I wish we were live. So in the sense of, talking to other women about it's over. Like it's over now. And where are you in that? Where are you in the process of that's happened and where life is for you now? Because I think that aftermath can be very isolating in ways, because your friends that were all married don't get what you're going through, and you're trying to rebuild a life in a totally different way, and you have these
Hmm.
wounds from the situation that you're trying to heal, and you're trying to adjust maybe your kids, and like trying to rebuild, and it's such a vulnerable, it breaks you down to such a level of vulnerability that I think it does make you go into the existential place of like asking questions about, well, who am I now and where am I now? What do I believe about marriage now?
Yeah,
Because
so
women
many.
don't just get remarried right away. Men do. Women do not. That's what the data shows.
Well,
They
I joke
Yeah.
about it all the time because I mean, honestly, think about it. Like what women bring to relationships, the data's there, the stats are there, the history is there, the traditions are there. We make the home comfortable, we make it fun. We're the
Mhm.
thermostat of whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day. We make we I mean, I consciously will
Yeah.
dim the lights, put some music on, candles. I consciously create an environment that's comfortable for people. And men don't do the same thing. I mean, even if you go to a party, it'll be like a bag of chips and a case of beers if it's men, right? We do like we make it look like a football and put signs up. And I think that like so if you're coming out of divorce and I'm thinking of several people that I know is like, yeah, do I want to do all that again? Do I want to clean up after someone, pick up
Right.
someone's smelly clothes, tell someone that they should be this way or that way or why you do I don't think so. I don't think I'd want to sign up for that in 2 seconds. I think I'd want like a joke I was going to make when you talked about living on your own for the first time. Because I remember asking this to you after that was like, but isn't it nice that you put something down and it's there when you get back? It's so nice. You don't have to think you're crazy. Did you move it? Where is it? Is it broken? Things stay the way you left them. And I think there are benefits too for women after divorce if they do have a little bit of control over their environment. Sometimes you're not. You're back at your parents' house or you're renting a room from somebody else. I mean, there's some really like stark realities about it, but
Mhm. Mhm.
like I joke, I'll be like, "Wait, so if let me get this. If we go through separation or divorce, then I get the kids every other week? So for an entire week, I can do whatever I want? Oh, that sounds terrible. Please." But it's true. I mean, women get a little bit of freedom back.
You do, and that was horrific for me. I was like, when I didn't have my kids, I was just like,
Yeah,
because
no, that'd be
they
horrible. It's
were
horrible.
huge. But I will say, as they got older, and it's like week at dad's, week at mine, then it was like, okay, I don't have to cook dinner for anybody. I don't have to do, I can come home from work and maybe just go meet some friends. It's weird, like have some space. So yes, there is some of that in there when we're used to taking care of constantly and not having to. Yeah, there's some sweetness in that. I can't like say that's not true for sure.
I think we need to come back and do one specifically on the changes, like what it's like after, because right now, um,
Yeah.
there's so many layers to it. Like you said, when we started talking about this topic and then you were saying the layers, I'm like, oh my gosh, it really is. There's so many ways to look at it.
Yeah, because you're really learning like even the piece of what you need now. Like I was so naive when I started, right? I was 18. I didn't know. I didn't even know who I was. I thought I did, but I didn't, right? So now it's like you come out of that relationship and that marriage and you're like, "Hey, this is a non-negotiable for me." Clearly, or the marriage wouldn't have
Right.
ended. This is a non-negotiable.
Right.
So, you really have to, and if you're not careful, because I did it, you'll go right back into that because that's what you know. And it was like, "Oh my god, I'm doing
Comfort
it
zone.
again. I'm with somebody who's not emotionally available. What are you doing?" Like,
Comfort
and
zone.
yes, it's so easy.
Homeostasis
And so
system.
really seeing and knowing yourself to say, "Okay, listen." And I really had to have that where it's like, "Okay, I am having to say no here, no there because you're actually not physically or emotionally available to me, and I cannot not have that anymore." I've had that my entire adult life,
Yep.
not having a man available. So I will not do that anymore. But I did not know that until, right, I was actually in that marriage and left
Yeah.
that marriage. So I think women are finding out what your real non-negotiables are.
PS, AKA also, we're not really well, we are now. Now it's a little more, but I wasn't brought up that way to go, hey, you know what? Just let's talk about your needs. Let's talk about what you need in a relationship. We weren't raised
No,
that way. You're
no.
raised to take care of your husband.
Yeah. And that
What does he need?
when you do that, then they'll do it back. But there's not this understanding that like maybe they were never taught that. I was so naive. I'll love the shit out of him. And then he'll just do it back. I was so naive to not even understand his history, his past, what he came from, what he's capable of not.
Yeah.
And now,
You know what? You know what I'm not capable of? Washing the last dish.
see, and that's what you put
See,
on your dating profile.
there will be one fork and one dish in the sink at all
There will
times.
always be. Yeah.
All right, we got to
Yeah.
wrap. It's a
Yep.
wrap.
Well, if we had a longer episode, we would go deeper in this. So we'll just have an additional episode to talk about the
And we
other.
can plan a longer episode for this. This is definitely worth a longer episode.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Bye.
All right, everybody. See you later.